So ABTA's Alumni Research Network, or AARN, had its annual meeting that just concluded this afternoon. The AARN is a network of previously and currently funded ABTA grantees working to improve brain diagnostics and treatment. This annual meeting brings members together to share research ideas and gain insights that will shape their careers and the brain tumor landscape. At this evening's cocktail reception, you will have a chance to interact with these researchers and read their posters, so you want to be ready for that. Dr. Henk Feyter, researcher and AARN co-chair, will share the impact of ABTA's research program and how to read a research poster in preparation for the cocktail reception. Please welcome Dr. Henk Feyter.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and thank you for spending some of your afternoon and listening to me. It's a bit hard to come after somebody who plays the guitar and sings very well and was in a TV show, but I'll try to do my best to be somewhat informative at least. So as was just said, my name is Henk Feyter. I'm at Yale University, and together with Ethel again, we've just been co-chairing the meeting for the ARN, which is the network of researchers supported by the ABTA. Here are our disclosures, and just to tell you a little bit more, ARN. You're all very aware or familiar with the work ABTA is doing for patients, caregivers, and the advocacy work. But there's also a significant component supporting research. And I call it significant because my own experience, I got 2 grants over 8 years' time, and they've been always having a big impact. Now they're not, let's see. Here you see a list of these grant mechanisms. And there's actually two new ones announced recently, so there's not even complete. And you can go over it yourself. I'm not going to read all that, but excuse me. I want to dive into the word significant I've been using, because these are they're big amounts of money for anybody, but they're not the level of funding that we get from the NIH or NCI. But these kind of grants have come for many people, many of my colleagues, at the right time, to do some work that was too early to be funded or to apply for an NCI grant or an NIH grant. And that's where they make the difference. They also make a difference in keeping people into the field. Researchers who come out of college to do their postdoc, there's a lot of options to do what you're going to study. ABTA helps to keep people in the field of brain tumor research with their fellowships and then medical student summer fellowships as well. And then, of course, the discovery grants. That's where, especially things that are way too early in shape or form to try to go after really big money from NIH or NCI, these kind of grants allow us to do that kind of work. And during this last meeting, for the last couple of days, almost every researcher who was presenting on their work mentioned how their ABTA grant led to much bigger funding from NCI and NIH. So I want to thank them for that, because it's been critical and crucial for many researchers at many times. So once you get a grant as a researcher, you automatically become a member of the Alumni Research Network. Its inception was in 2012, and you can see there have been 150 members by now. It's both scientists, physicians, and physician scientists, so we all come together. Really, the pinnacle of that membership is the annual meeting, which, like you heard, it's the last 2 days. This is the picture from last year. And what we do at this meeting, we discuss new research. There's a lot of exchange of ideas, scientific ideas, career development stuff, things like that, and build relationships. We also hear from patients often. Little shout out to Tosha and Dave. I don't know if they're in the room, but they can speak to us, and that was definitely a highlight of the meeting. And so the other thing I want to point out, which ABTA does a little bit different, I think, in my experience, than many other foundations. Many foundations focus on treatment, which is totally understandable, because that's the biggest thing we have to deal with. But ABTA also funds topics that are not directly linked to therapy. Imaging, I'm an imager myself. It's been really great that we've been able to put in projects and proposals that won't cure a brain tumor, but that will help other aspects of dealing with a brain tumor, making better pictures of brain tumors, things like that. And so there's multiple other topics or fields that are adjacent, but indirectly or in the longer term will make an impact or potentially make an impact in the research and treatment of brain tumor patients. So I think that's a great thing, and I hope they keep doing that. All right, so then when you get an award from ABTA, you're invited to present your work at one of the patient meetings. So here are highlights of the people who will be presenting this evening or later in today. And this is, of course, not all the grantees. This is just the ones who are going to be here this year. And as people get new grants, they rotate over. But just a little bit of a visual of what you can expect and who these people are. And so the presentation is around 5:30, preceding the reception, I think. Now, I admit we can be a little bit nerdy, and these posters, even the concept of a poster, you think like, what is this? Am I in high school now? Or it's actually, a poster is one of the main communication methods in research. They might change to become digital instead of being on paper. So many conferences now you could see big TVs where the poster presentation. But the concept of a poster, it's critical. It's been there for many years as a way to communicate research among scientists, but also to general audiences. So I'm going to just go a little bit over how to approach a poster like that. And I just used my old one from last year. It doesn't matter what it is. It just gives you the big overview or the framework we're dealing with. So there's a title that will tell you, hopefully, a little bit of what it's about. In this case, it's an imaging, and it's about glioblastoma. It will also give the authors, like whose work is this and where they're from, what's their institution. And then most of the time, there's a structure where there's what's called introduction. It's just like, why are we doing this? We try to pinpoint the actual problem that we want to focus on or the question we want to get answered. So there's some background information that motivates this project. There's often a section, or typically a section, called methods or methods and materials. That's where way more technical detail is provided. In this case, it would be what kind of scanner is being used, at what stage were people, participants recruited. If it's a clinical trial, it'll talk about the tumor type, the age, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, things like that. So a little bit more technical detail is in the methods section. So it tells us how was this done? And then the last section is the results section. It basically, all right, did you answer your question? Often that's the case, or sometimes that's the case, sometimes not, and it leads to more questions. But that's in the results section. And they also can have a discussion section as well. Those go often together or they're separate. So this gives you a little bit overview. It doesn't always come as 3 columns. This is a very generic and often used format. But whatever the shape it's going to be in, these are key components you can expect to see on a scientific poster. So if you're somewhat interested, think about it. Join these people. They're humans like everybody else, and I'm sure many of them look forward to talking to you as well. Some researchers do very basic science and deal with animals and animal models or cell models, and are very far removed from a patient experience. So that's definitely something that can be contributed by just talking to them. And so I invite you to do that, and thank you for your attention.